Okay, let's unpack this. When you hear long-range shooting, your mind probably jumps straight to the precision stuff, right?
Yeah, the calculations, angles, wind calls.
Exactly. Ballistic charts, all that. It feels like pure science, cold, hard data.
It does. Very empirical.
But then you see a title like Zen or Science, and that makes you pause.
It really does. It gets you thinking.
Is it all just science, or is there like a meditative art to it? Or maybe it's a mix of both.
That's the fascinating question it poses right off the bat.
So today we're doing a deep dive into a resource that looks right at that question. Sean Armstrong's ebook, Long Range Shooting, Zen or Science. Now, what's a bit different about this deep dive is we're not reading the book itself page by page.
Right. We're working from the description.
Exactly. The official descriptions, the author's bio, the stuff you find on the big online bookstores. We're trying to get the essence of it from those materials.
Kind of exploring what the book promises and what the author brings to the table based on how they're presented.
Yeah, what's it aiming to teach? And maybe more importantly, who is this author, Sean Armstrong? What's his perspective?
Because his background seems incredibly diverse.
It really does. So our goal is to pull out the key ideas about the book's teachings and understand how Armstrong's background might shape this whole Zen or science approach.
And hopefully give you, the listener, a kind of shortcut to grasping this blend of, practical skill and maybe deeper insight.
By the end, you should have a much better feel for what mastering long-range shooting might really involve, according to this source anyway.
Okay, so diving into those descriptive materials, one of the first things that stands out is how the book frames its core purpose. It's apparently not just about, hitting the target. That's part of it, obviously. Right. But it seems to emphasize achieving a sort of comprehensive mastery. And that mastery, it says, starts with safety, like a really strong commitment to safety protocols first.
Yep, safety first. Makes sense.
And then from that foundation, it builds up the technical skills you need for, consistent success, repeatable success.
Which makes you wonder, what does mastery actually mean here? Is it just hitting the bullseye?
Exactly. Or is it something deeper, like understanding the whole process, mind, body, the rifle, the environment, all synthesized? The descriptions definitely suggest it's leaning towards that more holistic view.
Right, not just being a technician, but something more.
Precisely.
And it seems like the guide lays out some foundational pillars right away, things you have to get right.
Yes, absolutely. And the first one mentioned is critical, zeroing the scope.
Okay, zeroing. For anyone who shoots, that's like step one, right? But it sounds like the guide really hammers this point home.
It does. It treats it as absolutely fundamental, not just a quick adjustment.
So why is it so crucial, especially when you're talking long range?
Well, think about it. It's the baseline calibration. It's that first moment where you confirm your rifle and scope are actually aligned, that your aim matches the bullet's path at a known distance.
The starting point. The ground truth for everything else.
Exactly. If your scope isn't meticulously zeroed, then every single adjustment you make later for wind or for elevation or, temperature changes
are all based on a faulty starting point.
Right. You're basically building on shaky ground. All the fancy techniques, the calculations, they don't mean much if the zero is off.
So it's non-negotiable. You have to nail the zero first.
It dictates the integrity of everything that follows. Absolutely non-negotiable for precision.
Okay, so you've got your zero locked in. What's next, according to the guide?
Well, building right on that baseline, it moves to another really fundamental thing, establishing stable firing positions.
Stability. Crucial.
But it sounds like it goes deeper than just, lying prone or using a bipod.
How so?
It introduces this concept that really leans into the Zen side of the title, the natural point of aim, NPOA.
Natural point of aim. Okay, tell me more.
So the idea isn't about using muscle to force the rifle onto the target, not about brute strength.
Which you might think with recoil and all that.
Right. Instead, it emphasizes using your body's structure, your skeleton. Finding that point where the rifle naturally rests on target with the least amount of muscle tension.
So letting your bones do the work, not your muscles.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like allowing your body to become a stable platform, an extension of the rifle, rather than actively fighting to hold it steady.
Okay, so what does that feel like, this natural point of aim? Because like you said, it seems a bit different from just muscling it.
Well, it highlights efficiency, doesn't it? It shifts away from using active muscle, which gets tiring really fast.
Yeah, start shaking after a while.
Exactly. And those tiny shakes, those tremors, they get magnified massively downrange, especially at long distances. NPOA is about finding that sweet spot using your skeletal structure.
So it's more passive, more intelligent body mechanics.
You could say that. It's about finding inherent stability. It reduces strain, minimizes those little wobbles, and here's the key part. It allows for much greater consistency over time, shot after shot.
Because you're not getting fatigued in the same way.
Right. If you rely purely on muscle, fatigue introduces inconsistency, big time. Shifting to skeletal support is more sustainable. It's almost, well, maybe this is the Zen part. It's almost meditative.
Huh. Like a mindful connection to your own body's structure.
Possibly. You're not forcing it. You're allowing your body to find its natural balance point with the rifle aimed at the target.
So it's not just about being less tired. It's fundamentally about improving that shot-to-shot consistency.
Yeah.
Which is everything in long-range shooting, right?
It's the holy grail. Yeah, it turns it from just physical effort into something more like focused balance. Calm, controlled.
Interesting. So you've got the rifle zeroed, you've found your stable NPOA. What other human elements does the guide bring in?
Well, it emphasizes that it's not always a solo act. The guide apparently highlights the critical role of a spotter.
Ah, the spotter. Yeah, you often see that in competitions or military contexts.
And it signals that precision shooting, especially at higher levels, is often a team effort, a collaboration.
So the spotter isn't just saying you hit left or you hit right.
Oh, much more than that. Their contribution is way more nuanced. They're watching for things the shooter might miss, buried in the scope view.
Like what?
Subtle wind shifts downrange, maybe mirage changes, things that tell you what the environment is really doing along the bullet's path.
Things the shooter can't easily see.
Exactly. And they give feedback on the shooter's technique, body position, follow-through. Plus, they can help with the data, interpreting results, refining the next shot's adjustments. It's a real partnership.
A shared responsibility for getting that hit.
Absolutely. And then connecting that back to the individual shooter, the guide apparently stresses these seemingly small actions that are actually huge.
Okay.
Things like perfect breath control and having a really proper, meticulous technique for the trigger squeeze.
The fundamentals. Breath and trigger.
But described as paramount. They're the micro-level controls that determine if the macro-level goal hitting the target actually happens.
So it's not just yanking the trigger.
Definitely not. It's about timing, discipline, almost like an internal rhythm. You know, holding your breath at that perfect moment when the reticle is steady, then applying that smooth, steady pressure until the shot breaks, but without disturbing your aim even a tiny bit.
That takes incredible focus. Almost. Zen-like focus, you could say.
It really does. Mental discipline, body awareness. These skills minimize human error right at the critical moment. They integrate the shooter and the rifle, making it feel seamless.
Like an extension of your will.
Yeah. And one more practical point here, the guide apparently emphasizes securing your windage and elevation knobs after you've zeroed.
Just tightening them down seems simple.
Simple but crucial. It stops accidental bumps or adjustments from messing up that perfect zero you worked so hard to get. Reinforces that systematic, meticulous approach. Keep everything locked down.
Right. So that covers the sort of foundational, maybe more Zen or discipline-focused aspects. But the title is Zen or Science? What about the science part?
Okay, yeah. Building on that solid foundation, the guide then dives deep into the science side. This is where you really grapple with the external factors, the physics.
Well, ballistics.
Ballistics takes center stage. The guide apparently provides a really thorough understanding of it.
Including things like MOA, minute of angle.
Absolutely. It explains the significance of MOA as a key measurement for accuracy.
And why is understanding angular measurement like MOA so critical? It sounds technical.
Because it's the language of scope adjustments. It's how you translate the theory of ballistics, like how much a bullet drops over distance due to gravity and air resistance,
into actual clicks on your scope.
Precisely. Knowing that, say, 4 clicks equals 1 MOA, and that 1 MOA is about 1 inch at 100 yards, but about 10 inches at 1,000 yards. That's what turns physics into practical, repeatable actions.
Without that translation, you're just guessing.
Pretty much. Or relying on luck. The guide likely explains how even small errors in MOA understanding can lead to big misses way downrange.
Makes sense. The errors multiply with distance.
Huge.
So MOA is the language.
Yeah.
But doing those complex calculations, especially under pressure, that's tough. Does the book talk about tools to help?
Oh, yeah. It recommends a whole suite of practical tools, things like handheld ballistic computers.
Like Kestrels and similar devices.
Exactly. Also things like mil-dot ranging systems built into scopes and, of course, laser range finders.
And these aren't just gadgets, right? They're essential now.
They're pretty much the technological backbone for serious long-range shooting today. They automate incredibly complex calculations.
And that kind of calculations.
Well, they integrate range, obviously, but also environmental data, temperature, air pressure, humidity, even spin drift, and the Coriolis effect, the Earth's rotation.
Wow. Stuff you definitely can't do in your head easily.
Not in real time, no. A good laser rangefinder gives you the exact distance, removing range estimation errors.
Right.
Then the ballistic computer takes that distance, your bullet-specific data, the wind input, the atmospherics,
And spits out the precise adjustment needed, like dial 12.5 MOA up.
Exactly. It turns all that abstract data into concrete, actionable numbers. It lets the shooter focus more on the execution, the Zen part, maybe, while the tech handles the heavy lifting on the science side.
That makes sense. Frees up mental bandwidth.
Definitely. And speaking of environments, the guide apparently goes into a lot of detail on mastering environmental factors, especially wind.
Wind. The bane of every long-range shooter.
It really is. The guide seems to underscore why it's such a dominant and tricky variable.
Why is it so tough?
Because it's not just about speed, it's direction. And crucially, how both speed and direction might change along the bullet's entire flight path. You could have crosswinds, headwinds, tailwinds, even updrafts or downdrafts, all affecting the bullet differently at different points.
Whirling winds, yeah. Nightmare stuff.
Total nightmare. So managing wind, according to the guide, isn't just guessing. It involves reading wind flags, watching mirage.
Mirage, like heat waves.
Yeah, the shimmer you see. Its direction and speed tells you a lot about the wind, especially closer to the ground. Also watching grass, trees, dust, trying to estimate speed and direction at multiple points.
It's a real art form then, almost.
It really is. Constant observation, quick calculation, making adjustments based on often incomplete data. It's maybe the ultimate blend of science and intuitive feel.
And the guide also talks about hitting moving targets.
Yes, targeting moving objects, which immediately suggests it's going beyond just static targets on a range.
Right, hinting at hunting, maybe competitions with movers, or tactical stuff.
Exactly, and that adds a whole new layer of complexity.
Because you have to lead the target.
Precisely. You're not aiming where the target is, but where it will be when the bullet arrives, maybe seconds later. You have to calculate that lead based on target speed, direction, distance, and your bullet's flight time.
Wow. So even more predictive skill needed. Real-time calculation under pressure.
Definitely. The margin for error gets even smaller.
And to help with tricky situations. Maybe when data is uncertain, the guide mentions bracketing methods. What's that?
Bracketing is basically a way to zero in on a target when you don't have perfect data. Let's say your rangefinder isn't working, or the conditions are really tough to read.
Okay.
You might intentionally fire one shot, estimated to be slightly high, watch the impact, then maybe one low, one left, one right, creating a box of impacts around where you think the target is.
So you use the misses to find the hit.
Exactly. You're using the real-time feedback from those impacts to systematically walk your shots onto the target. It's a methodical way to find the precise aiming point, even with uncertainty.
Like a systematic problem-solving approach.
Yeah.
Very tactical.
Very. Shows adaptability beyond just following pre-calculated data.
Which leads nicely into another tool the guide emphasizes. The range card.
Yes, the range card. And it raises that question, why is this piece of paper essentially so important strategically?
It's more than...
Oh, much more. A good range card is like a pre-computed map for shooting in a specific area or under expected conditions.
Pre-computed.
Yeah, shooters often prepare them beforehand. They'll list the exact elevation and windage adjustments needed for various distances, maybe for different loads they might use. They can even factor in different temperatures or altitudes they expect.
So it's all worked out in advance.
Right. It's the result of taking all that theoretical knowledge, ballistics, MOA, wind formulas, and applying it systematically to a specific place and time. It transforms potential chaos into something predictable.
So under pressure, you're not trying to do complex math.
Exactly. You just look at your range card, get the data for that distance and condition, dial it in, and focus on the shot. It's all about preparation.
Preparation meeting opportunity. The culmination of the science applied strategically.
Perfectly put. It frees you up to handle the zen of the execution.
Okay, this is all fascinating about the what of the book.
Yeah.
But now, let's talk about the who. The author, Shawn Armstrong. Because this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Agreed. His background, as presented in the bio, is Well, it's remarkable. Not your typical firearms expert profile.
Not at all. It's this incredible blend of experiences that really seems to shed light on why he might title a book Zen or Science.
He's clearly more than just a shooter or instructor. He seems like a true polymath.
So what does the bio tell us? Let's start with the practical side.
Okay, well, first off, over 2 decades in the U.S. Army. 20 years of dedicated service.
That's significant. What does that kind of experience bring?
Discipline, obviously. A deep understanding of precision under pressure. Mission focus, preparedness. This isn't just range practice. It's experience forged in potentially high-stakes, real-world environments.
So the science of methodical planning and execution.
Definitely. The systematic approach you see in military operations likely informs his shooting philosophy heavily.
But then there's the other side. He's also a self-defense expert.
A distinguished one, apparently. Holds a 4th-degree black belt in karate.
Okay, karate. Now that definitely points towards the Zen aspect, doesn't it?
It really does. Think about what martial arts emphasizes. Mental discipline, focus, precise control over your body, synchronizing breath and movement.
All things we were just talking about with MPOA. Breath control, trigger squeeze.
Exactly. It's about mastering yourself, your mind, and body to execute complex actions precisely, even under stress. Inner calm, self-awareness.
So he bridges these worlds, the military discipline and the martial arts discipline.
And connects them directly to firearms. The bio also lists him as a master firearms instructor and a combat shooting instructor.
So he's qualified to teach based on all this practical experience.
Highly qualified, it seems, linking that military, martial arts, and instructional expertise together.
But it doesn't stop there, right? There's an academic side, too.
A significant one. He holds degrees in criminal justice and counterterrorism.
Criminal justice and counterterrorism.
Yeah.
Interesting combination. What does that suggest?
It suggests, well, serious intellectual rigor behind the practical skills, understanding systems, threats, how to prevent bad outcomes.
Which probably informs his approach to safety protocols you mentioned earlier.
Undoubtedly. A deep awareness of responsibility. And it likely adds a strategic layer to his thinking about shooting, threat assessment, risk mitigation, understanding behavior.
So it's not just about the mechanics of shooting, but the context.
Exactly. Viewing it within a broader framework of responsibility and strategy.
And then there's his writing. He's written a lot, on a lot of different topics.
Prolific is the word, across a really surprising range of disciplines.
Like what?
Well, the bio mentions extensive work in political commentary, titles like The American Left, From Liberalism to Despotism and Institutionalizing Division, The Rise of Racial Fanaticism in American Society.
Okay, so tackling complex, potentially controversial societal issues.
Right. And just to be clear for our listeners, we're noting the breadth of his writing here, the fact that he engages with these big, complex topics as part of understanding the author's background. We're not delving into or endorsing the specific viewpoints in those political books.
Understood. The point is his willingness to analyze intricate social and political structures.
Precisely. It shows a mind engaged with ideology, societal shifts, deep-seated beliefs.
And he also writes history.
Yes, quite a bit. Titles mentioned include World War II, from Pearl Harbor to Rio de Janeiro, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic, and also the history of American civil rights and the leftist hijacking of the nobility of the fight for civil rights.
Wow. World War II, Roman history, civil rights history. That's some serious historical scope.
It really is. It shows a deep immersion in major historical events, strategy, societal movements, cause and effect over long periods.
How does knowing history potentially connect back to something like marksmanship? Seems unrelated at first.
Maybe not directly, but think about it. Understanding history gives you perspective on strategy, on how techniques evolve, on the long-term consequences of actions. It teaches adaptability, foresight, resilience. It contextualizes any skill within the larger arc of human effort.
Seeing the bigger picture, not just the technique in isolation.
Exactly. He's potentially bringing that broader historical strategic lens to the discipline.
And then he brings it back to martial arts again with his writing.
Yep. There's a title mentioned, Warrior's Path, The Epic Journey of Modern Karate, Dragon Kenpo 2.0.
Warrior's Path. Reinforces that Zen or philosophical side again, the journey of mastery.
It does. And beyond that, he's apparently written philosophical essays looking at figures like C.S. Lewis and fundamental principles in society.
So ethics, morality, foundational truths.
It suggests a mind that really grapples with those deeper questions. It implies his overall perspective likely isn't just technical or pragmatic. There's probably an ethical or philosophical dimension woven in.
which might influence how he presents Zen or science. Maybe emphasizing responsibility or the fundamental truths of physics and human control.
It seems very likely. A holistic worldview applied to this specific skill.
So if we try to stitch all that together, Army, karate, instructor, academic, writer on politics, history, philosophy. What does that tell us about his overall teaching philosophy?
Well, the source material suggests his goal isn't just teaching a technical skill. It's about fostering resilience.
Resilience. In what sense?
Both in skills, being able to perform under pressure, and in mindset, preparing people for real-world challenges, helping them face things with confidence and poise.
Building a strong internal framework.
That's exactly. And he's still actively doing it. The bio mentions he's teaching karate online now while still writing.
So he's presented as this beacon of knowledge, really, across all these different fields, dedicated to empowering people through education.
That's the picture painted. Not just teaching how to shoot, but teaching how to approach challenges with discipline, knowledge, and a calm, focused mind.
Which really brings us back full circle to Zen or science. It sounds like he embodies both.
He certainly seems uniquely positioned to explore that duality.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly and look at the book itself as a product, the tangible details.
Right, the e-book specs.
The first thing that jumps out, 794 pages.
Yeah, that's substantial for an e-book on shooting.
What does that length suggest to you?
It screams comprehensive, exhaustive even. This isn't a weekend read or a quick overview.
No long-range shooting for dummies vibe here.
Definitely not. It points towards the definitive resource, covering pretty much everything in considerable detail. A deep dive for the reader, mirroring the author's thorough approach, like an encyclopedia of long-range shooting.
A complete curriculum.
Seems like it.
And then there's that publication date we mentioned, May 8, 2025, which is, in the future from when we're recording this.
Yeah, it's interesting to analyze a book's potential based on its pre-release materials.
It is. Other details, file size 5.2 millibit, okay? But then the accessibility features listed are quite extensive.
Screen reader supported, enhanced typesetting, WordWise enabled, page flip.
What do those tell you? They seem like more than just tech specs.
They suggest a real focus on the reader's experience, making potentially dense technical information as accessible and easy to absorb as possible for a wide audience.
So it's not just about dumping information, but making sure people can actually learn from it effectively.
Exactly. A commitment to pedagogy, to how the knowledge is received. Democratizing access, maybe?
Which leads to maybe the most intriguing detail of all.
The reading age.
Yeah. Targeted reading age, 14 to 18 years old.
Right. You've got this nearly 800-page, comprehensive, deep dive into complex ballistics, environmental factors, advanced techniques.
Aimed at teenagers.
It raises a really interesting question, doesn't it? What does that signal about the author's approach?
It seems ambitious.
Yeah.
Making that level of technical detail engaging for that age group.
Highly ambitious. It suggests he's deliberately trying to make this complex field accessible early on. Maybe sparking interest in science, math, discipline practice.
So the style must be key. It can't be dry and academic if it's for 14-year-olds.
Presumably not. It implies it breaks things down very clearly, uses engaging language, maybe strong examples, or even a narrative feel. It has to be highly pedagogical.
Taking high-level content and making it digestible without dumbing it down.
That seems to be the goal. It's a fascinating combination. The depth of content and that target reading age speaks volumes about his belief in educating and empowering young minds.
A carefully crafted educational journey, as you said.
Yeah.
So wrapping things up then, what we've really unpacked today, looking at these descriptions of the book and the author, is that mastering something like long-range shooting, at least according to this source, isn't just about the science. It's not only calculations and tools and data.
Great. It's also deeply about the Zen.
Yeah, that deep understanding, the personal discipline, the mental fortitude, the kind of holistic insight that someone with Sean Armstrong's incredibly varied background seems uniquely suited to explore.
Military, martial arts, academics, history, philosophy. He brings all of that to bear.
It suggests true mastery needs that blend. It's mechanics, yes, but also mindset, understanding the variables inside you and outside you, finding that harmony.
And if we step back and look at the bigger picture from this, Armstrong's work, even just through these descriptions, kind of subtly suggests something broader, doesn't it?
How so?
That real mastery in any field, even super technical ones, often comes from bringing in multiple perspectives.
Not just staying in one narrow lane.
Exactly. It's not only about knowing the facts of, say, ballistics, it's about seeing the connections, how physics interacts with human psychology, how historical lessons might apply, maybe even the philosophical implications.
Drawing from different pools of knowledge.
Right, because maybe the real Zen is recognizing that knowledge isn't siloed, it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
The deeper you go in one area, if you're open to it, the more you learn about everything else.
That's a great point, a really provocative thought to end on.
So maybe something for you, the listener, to think about. How could that Zen or science approach that blend of deep discipline and broad, interconnected knowledge apply to something you're trying to master?
What seemingly unrelated field might hold an insight for your own challenge? Worth considering.